Hello everyone, and welcome to my Duel Today official news channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. According to the Wednesday, September 27, Days of Our Lives spoilers recap, Ava Vitali was upset with Harris Michaels in a London cafe since Susan Banks hadn't been sending any more signals. Harris saw an E in the crumbs where his scone had been after Ava screamed out for Susan's assistance. Harris informed Ava after conducting web research and discovering Susan and Edmund Crumb's 25-year-old wedding announcement. Ray Fernandez and Jada Hunter returned to Harris and Ava's hotel and used the key card the front desk receptionist had given them to enter the couple's room. Naturally, Ava and Harris weren't there, but Jada discovered the altered passports Wendy Shin had made for them. The police wondered why Harris and Ava would go to London rather than someplace off the grid while Rafe and Jada waited for Harris and Ava to return. Rafe made the decision to call Trip Johnson for more information after speculating that perhaps Ava and Harris weren't fleeing anything at all, but rather were heading toward it. On Wednesday's episode of Days, Trip found Wendy online looking for a new job when he got home from his shift. Wendy reassured Trip that he wasn't to blame for E.J. Demira firing her, especially because Trip had previously advised her to keep out of the situation. Wendy questioned how Rafe got Trip to talk once he started providing Rafe details about where Ava was. Wendy pushed Trip for the truth as she grew more inquisitive and resisted his attempts to deflect the issue. When Trip revealed that Rafe had threatened to pursue Wendy if he didn't cooperate, she erupted at the thought of Rafe making him pick between his mother and girlfriend. Wendy was shocked that Trip had chosen her and questioned his reasoning. Trip admitted it was because he loved Wendy since he thought it was apparent. Wendy understood Trip's hesitation to say it was due to Allie Horton not responding after he mentioned he had been wanting to for some time. Wendy eventually acknowledged she was in love with Trip as well, despite her insistence that it wouldn't be the same with her. Before deciding to celebrate in the bedroom, Wendy gave Trip a kiss before Rafe's call cut them off. Trip frantically divulged how they were looking for a living Susan in the hopes that it would help his mother's case after Rafe informed him that Scotland Yard had Ava and Harris under arrest. Trip realized he had been tricked after Rafe promised to tell him when he found Ava and exploded as he told Wendy what had happened. Jada was also updated by Rafe of Susan's potential survival, so they discussed whether the information was accurate. On Wednesday's DOOLA broadcast, Philip Kyriakis claimed he wanted to check on Chloe Lane since he knew she had revealed Victoria Horton's father to Xander Cook. Chloe worried that Sarah Horton and Rex Brady wouldn't be as accepting now that the truth was out, despite Philip's assurances that he understood why she did it. Even though Xander tried to convince Chloe that this news didn't change anything, she was insistent that the wedding would not go ahead. Philip had mentioned that Sarah and Rex had already been married when Chloe sent Xander to visit Sarah at the tavern. Additionally, Chloe admitted to listening in on the other side of Philip's conversation and claimed she overheard enough to infer that he might still be in love with her. Chloe eventually admitted as a result that she had also loved Philip before he had come back to life. Although Chloe had been attempting to deny it, it had been a part of her since she was a teenager and could no longer be rejected. After asking Chloe if she was admitting she still had feelings for him, Philip changed his mind and decided she shouldn't say anything because of how she was feeling at the time. Chloe was adamant that this had nothing to do with what had happened with Xander, and was confident Philip wouldn't take advantage of her predicament. That was something the old Philip would have done, but Chloe was aware that Philip had changed since receiving the assistance he required. On his way out, Philip told Chloe that he should probably leave, but promised to always be there for her. Wednesday's episode of Days featured Xander pressing Sarah for an explanation of why she had lied about Victoria's paternity. Sarah reiterated Xander's contribution to Susan's demise because she didn't want her daughter to grow up with a criminal for a father. Sarah questioned whether Xander also regretted working with Gwen Rissest and stealing the Spectator from Jack Devereaux. despite Xander's insistence that he did. Instead of accepting Maggie Kyriakis' financial assistance, Sarah reported that Xander had moved the group into a roach motel and turned kidnapper. Although Xander claimed it was truly Victor Kyriakis' money, he refused to accept a cent from Victor after the way he had treated him. Sarah drew attention to the fact that Xander accepted Ava's ransom money while acting as though he hadn't made enough of an attempt to locate a genuine job. Sarah argued that she lied to Xander about Victoria's paternity in the same way that he insisted he did what he believed he had to do. Despite Xander's complaints that Rex was a liar and a frequent cheater, Sarah exposed all of Xander's previous transgressions. Xander vowed never to hurt his own child, but Sarah remained adamant about her choice. When Rex showed there, Xander growled that Rex could leave with Sarah for their honeymoon while he got to know his daughter. Rex explained to Xander that since he was married to Sarah and his name was on the birth certificate, he was legally recognized as the father. Rex cautioned about the contentious legal battle that lay ahead and emphasized that no judge would support a convicted felon over two highly regarded doctors. Xander pretended that a short DNA test would change that. Angry Xander swore to be a part of Victoria's life and that he wouldn't be stopped by Sarah or Rex. Xander intended to battle for Victoria with more vigor than he ever had before. In the Wednesday episode of Days, Sarah and Rex stood there looking quite distressed as Xander stomped out. Keep an eye on Days of Our Lives since spoilers indicate that a bitter custody dispute is developing. According to Days of Our Lives rumors, Eric Brady will be moving on Thursday, September 28. It's time for Eric and Sloane Peterson to move in together and take their relationship to the next level since they still want to raise a family. Eric will receive a startling visitor once he formally moves in with Sloane. Marlena Evans might walk up and confess she's not excited about Eric spending his life with Sloane because we already know how she'll respond to his new living situation before the week is up. Having said that, Marlena can appreciate Eric's choices because he makes them on his own. That doesn't mean Marlena will always concur, but she can disagree and ultimately support Eric's decisions. Melinda Trask will struggle to keep her job as Salem's district attorney in the meanwhile. Days teasers indicate that Melinda will address Paulina Price with a request, but given that she will be seen packing up her possessions, it appears that her efforts may be in vain. Fortunately, Duo Ola viewers can anticipate a diversion for Melinda, who will be chosen for some type of new task. On Thursday's Days episode, Sloane will ask Trask for a significant favor because she needs his assistance. Ava Vitale and Harris Michaels will exploit their most recent Susan Banks tip in London. When Susan accidentally left the letter E in scone crumbs, Ava pleaded for a sign and received it. As a result, Harris was able to find a newspaper item from 25 years prior. It was a wedding announcement for Susan and Edmund Krum, so Ava and Harris now know exactly where to look for information about Susan. Days teasers indicate that Edmund will be visited by Harris and Ava. Thus, Susan may have gotten in touch with him after arriving in London. If not, Edmund may at least refer Ava and Harris to a location or a former acquaintance of Susan, if not both. In any event, Days of Our Lives spoilers indicate that Harris and Ava will receive updates on some crucial information that will finally help them find Susan. Thanks for watching if you liked this video. So please don't forget to subscribe my channel and don't miss any update.